Sure. I guess I'll kind of bring it to a point and give a little bit of a recap of 2023 to bring us to where we are now. So last year, it was a bit of a slow start for us, from anywhere from building a staff to building a culture, and then having all the pieces together. Our season, despite having obviously the fall to prepare, really started in January. So for us, that slow start, 1-6 in the first 7. But then all of a sudden, with belief in the system and schemes and a lot of really good leadership, we were able to go 5-4 in the last 9 games. And just a few statistics to kind of put it in perspective. Our offense was scoring probably like 7.4 goals a game in that first 7. To turn it around in the last 9 games to score over 13 goals a game. And another big stat, Lacrosse is clearing. We were 74% in the first 5. The first 7, and 94 in the last 9. And so big trend in the right direction, which leads us to where we are now with a lot of really good energy and knowledge of both who we are as a staff and also who we are with our talent on our team. We lost a couple big players last year, Ashton Wood at the face-off X and Wes Cheers at close defense. Of course, Wes covered the number 1 attackman, which is a tough assignment no matter who you are, and then Ashton with a big possession advantage with all of the face-offs he won. And so those were 2 big question marks that we had coming into the season, but we have a lot of great leadership coming back. We have 20 seniors, whether you're a senior or grad senior, on a 60-man roster. So a third of our guys are at that point, which is impressive. We brought in 5 transfers. Some are in role-playing situations. Other are right there competing on game day. And others we're first out of the box. You're a total stud, and we need to get you the ball. So that's been pretty exciting. But like all things, we only have one goal in our program, and that's to win an ASUN championship. We are not in the SoCon conference. And so for me, when I developed that schedule this year, I wanted to bring back a rivalry, which also is a close relationship of mine and John Torpy at High Point. They used to be in the SoCon conference and big rivals with us. And so to lead the season and actually all of Division I lacrosse on Saturday at 11 a.m. was pretty special to our guys. And they got the better of us for sure, but we were able to regroup and come back and beat a Hampton team on Sunday morning as well. And so that kind of sets the stage on where we are and where we're headed. We have a big one against Chapel Hill, UNC, this Saturday. And a small win for us was getting UNC to travel down to Atlanta. So just in that itself is a small victory, but we have a big week of prep ahead of us.
Coach, you mentioned kind of the tale of 2 seasons last year. What do you attribute that difference to, and maybe what clicked for your guys?
Yeah, as a first-year head coach, as a first-year coach here at Mercer, you take a lot of risks. And sometimes when you sit with our staff and you're discussing and you have total belief in the schemes and what you're trying to do, sometimes you place a lot of doubt just because of the results of the game. But the guys and what we were showing on film, game in and game out, we saw a lot of really good stuff, and so did the players. Combine staying the course with a lot of belief in what we were doing and the players were putting in positions to make plays was really exciting. And so to turn it around and start off with Detroit Mercy last year and getting that first conference win really pushed us forward, and it helped us really kind of put things together. We fell a little bit, obviously going on the road up to Louisville, which is a 9-hour drive, and Bellarmine, an incredible team. They're also turning their program around. I believe at the time they were 9-3 when we went into Louisville. We beat them on their own turf on a Wednesday on a quick turnaround. And then to come back home to Robert Morris, who has traditionally been a great program. They have a new coach as well, but at the same time, for them to come to our place on a quick turnaround, they had a full week to prepare for us. We played really well. We played really well, and I think that was a really turning point in the year for us as a program. And so between, believing the schemes, showing them all the things that they've done right, and then just kind of going with that vibe. It turned us into a pretty good program where we made the conference tournament for the first time in almost a decade.
For someone that doesn't know, what is it like to recruit lacrosse in this part of the country? In Georgia, I know it's a big deal up in the Atlanta area as well, but now in your second year, what has that process been like for you?
Yeah, a couple things is one, I'm a Northeast guy myself, and I've been doing this for a long time, where you develop a lot of relationships with the club and high school coaches to really find those, quote, hidden gems. But there's a couple unique pieces about Mercer and Macon specifically that help us. Number one, and many of you may or may not know this, but there are 2 direct flights from Contour Airlines from Macon to BWI every single day. And as a lacrosse coach, it's a dream come true because 90% of all of the events that happen during the summertime are right in the Baltimore area. And so a significant amount of our guys are from that area just because they're like, what is Mercer? Where is Mercer? And it's like, well, let me show you. You book a $150 one-way ticket, and boom, they're right here in Macon in about an hour and 10 minutes. And so it's really cool for you to kind of show the DMV kids, one, you can get to Macon faster than you can northern New Jersey. So that's huge. The second piece to that whole thing is, and you've already mentioned it, Atlanta actually has a significant amount of talent. And it's, I was actually talking about this the other day. It's not just, there are like weird hotbed or non-traditional areas that have good lacrosse. But some of them, like Florida, Denver, Chicago area, there's weird pockets here and there. But for whatever reason, the Atlanta kids, not only are they good players, they're skilled, they're fundamental, they're well coached in this area, they pan out. And I think that that's lost on a lot of coaches. They go out there and they're like, that kid's the best player in the field. But there's a lot to be said for, all right, what is the longevity of that player, and is he going to compete at the next level? And Atlanta kids and Georgia kids, that's been my main focus. Certainly from the DMV area, getting some traditional area players a part of this program. But I don't really have to leave that far. These kids are an hour away, and so I can attack the areas and find some really good talent.
For some of those guys that you maybe fly down from the Northeast and the DMV area, what is that experience like for them, taking them down to a place like Macon, and what does a recruiting trip look like for a lot of these kids? Yeah,
I equate it to my own interview process here, and a little bit of my past experience being at Bucknell University. And our first game in 2022 was against Mercer University, and had I not had that experience, I wouldn't know what this place has to offer. And so I tell them all the time, I'm like, look, you don't know much about Mercer, but I'm telling you, neither did I. And when I get you here, and I'll pay for you to come down here, you're going to be blown away. Because I do think a lot of kids, just in their mind, are like, oh, Mercer University, I'm sure I'll come down there. There'll be a grass field with a track around it and some metal bleachers, And then they get down here and they see $1 million scoreboard, a beautiful, 10 million plus field house where our offices and our locker rooms are, and then they see that every resource that you possibly need, from food to training room to weight room to locker room to our offices to a film room to your game and practice field, are all within 100 feet. And in all honesty, for all lacrosse, even in the Northeast, you can put us within the top 10 easily of any school in the country that has lacrosse as the best facilities and the best resources you possibly can. So every single one of them, and it drives me nuts, will come in here and say, wow, this place is a hidden gem. And I'm like, well, it should be just a gem. I'm fixing the hidden part, And so it's really fun to see their eyes and the family's eyes and realize, wow, this place is offering a lot, and I'm excited to hear more.
And the last thing for me, I saw a couple teams on your schedule. You got UNC that you mentioned, Utah later in the year. What goes into scheduling lacrosse, especially in this part of the country, and how does that shape up well for you guys in the conference?
Yeah, so scheduling is something else. And when you're when you're running a lacrosse program in Georgia. And there's a few factors. One, it's kind of nice to have a league, the ASUN League, which has 10 teams in it. So 9 games are planned out for you, of course, and Utah happens to be one of them. The unfortunate part of the ASUN is it's largely a collection of non-traditional area schools all put into one. So you've got a BCS program in Utah, you've got Air Force Service Academy, you've got Jacksonville, Bellarmine, Lindenwood, Detroit, Cleveland State, Robin Ware. You've basically got them all over the place. So it presents unique fundraising opportunities for us. But when I schedule our non-conference, I want to have a good mix to prepare us for the incredibly diverse teams from a schematic point and a lot of the other things that we're looking at to kind of prepare us for that 9-game grueling schedule. And so Army is a great contest because they're gonna get in your face and play bully ball, which is awesome. Carolina, obviously, so our guys can see that next level and know that while they're an incredible team, we're not that far away. And then also to see unique teams from different places. Lemoyne's coming down this year, Hampton, of course, rebooting the rivalry with High Point. Of course, they're a great program as well. So it's just an exciting time to be able to put those pieces together, ultimately to prepare us for our 9-game ASUN schedule.
Coach, what advantages have you seen on the field of having such a big senior class?
Yeah, leadership. And I said this last year, this team, and typically when you have a lot of seniors, it doesn't necessarily bode well for leadership because there are just so many voices in the thing, in the locker room. But for whatever reason, this senior class, including the grads, have bought in completely. And I'm not sure why that's the reason. I'm not sure if it's or if it's just the culture that's been placed here at Mercer University, but I've been blessed that they bought in from day one. And truthfully, the seniors are starving. And I think they got a little bit of a taste of that. So I'm their 3rd head coach. If you're a graduate senior, I'm their 3rd head coach. And 2, they needed direction and they wanted direction and we provided it for them, and then we went to the tournament. And so now they're like, oh baby, like I can feel this is fun. And so we're kind of taking that momentum, flipping it into this year, and the seniors and the leadership haven't faltered once. And it's so nice to be able to rely on them to pass a message along, or hey, we need this fixed. It's fixed immediately, and there's so many different hands with so many different types of leadership roles and leadership examples to be able to kind of touch every player within our program.
And as far as experience goes, this being your second year, what did you learn last year that you're carrying on into this year and saying, hey, I've grown some?
Yeah, do you have a couple hours? Again, not only am I a first-year head coach here, I'm a first-year head coach last year and now going into my 2nd year. And the one thing, and I've said this to all of our recruits, I say it to our staff, I use it a lot to our team, you don't know what you don't know. And even after 18 seasons of doing this, I don't know a lot. So I'm going to continue to rely on my staff every single day to lead me in the right direction, relying on our guys to lead me in the right direction. I think that the most important lesson I've learned in my first, say, 18 months is the relationships you have with your players. And that comes back to the leadership question you asked. And having that relationship and having that dialogue and that transparency gets to the root of everything, whether it's something that needs to be changed. And honestly, it's just so amazing how many times kids just don't say, hey, there's an issue here. And it's like, well, why didn't you tell me 2 months ago? This is the easiest change I've ever, and because we've developed that relationship, a lot of things have evolved in the positive direction we're looking for. And so I learned that relationships are a big part of this, and there's a give and take. And this isn't, about me, this isn't about our staff, but this is about the 60 men in that locker room trying to achieve a bigger goal in an ASUN championship.